Chances are, a lot of you clicked on this video because of that weird tower looking thing on the thumbnail, huh? While only the true tech nerds, like myself, know exactly what it is. This is the Blackmagic eGPU Pro. For my non-techies, yes, this thing here is probably bigger and heavier than your 5-pound dumbbells that haven't been lifted since 3 years ago. It actually weighs in at 9.9 pounds and is pretty hard to believe that this thing isn't a fully fledged computer in its own right with just how big it is, especially having it right next to my MacBook Pro 13-inch. But for $1,200, first off, is there gold in here? Is the winning number to the Powerball located within? Let me find out. The vaccine to finally end this lockdown will pop up as soon as you plug it in. Well, hang tight, because more than likely it's a fat no for all of those previous questions, but chances are you'll come out of this video with more knowledge as well as hopefully some answered questions. So grab some snacks, grab a drink. If you're watching with someone else, make sure you're 6 feet apart and get ready as we dive into this unboxing for my new eGPU Pro. Let's do this. So we'll start with our unboxing. As you can see here, I had to back up my camera way more than usual with just how tall this box is. I don't know why, even for me, for the longest time ever, I've always associated eGPUs strictly for gaming. But I'm glad to say that this would do way more than just increase your frames per second for Fortnite. But get your cutting tool, cut off the stickers at the top to open the box. Right at the very top, you'll find a small little booklet. This is a quick start guide in multiple languages, but I doubt you'll need it all that much as this is basically plug and play. It's not rocket science. Then, remove the styrofoam and be very careful to lift up your eGPU as it is quite heavy. So yeah, set it aside and don't stop there, otherwise you'll miss your cables needed for this thing to turn on. And that's all we get in the box, folks, short and to the point. So okay, let's talk about eGPUs in general. What are they? Well, for one, GPU stands for Graphics Processing Unit, and the E is for external, so let's revisit first grade and put it all together. It's an external graphics processing unit. This graphics processor resides outside of your computer and is super high-end. Found inside is an RX Vega 56 GPU with 8 GB of HBM2 memory and essentially acts as a mega evolution of your GPU found inside your MacBook or any other computer. It's designed to very quickly manipulate and alter the graphics of your computer and output them at a much higher rate, thus increasing their performance. In other words, to dumb it down the best I can, it makes graphics on your computer stupid good. It's a lot that goes into it though, as you might be able to tell with this huge piece of aluminum that is a little bigger than your 40-ounce chug glass that you've never been able to successfully do a one-pull kill on. The design of the Blackmagic eGPU Pro looks very futuristic as it is super clean looking with this octagon style exterior that looks like the UFC cage when looking at it straight from the top. You have your exhaust vent at the top needed to blow out that hot air and keep it nice and cool, and is made of a single piece of aluminum that matches the space gray Apple laptops really well. And on the bottom is your stand with the LED indicator that lets you know when this thing is on and ready to rock and roll. Some of you may be wondering though, is this any different at all from the non-pro version of the eGPU by Blackmagic that retails for $500 less? The answer is mostly no, except for one tiny design difference. If we look at our I/O on the back, we'll have 2 Thunderbolt 3 ports. You'll need one to connect the provided cable to your Mac, and the other is free to use, say for example on an external display. You'll have 4 USB 3.1 Gen 1 ports, an HDMI port, your power connector, and last but not least is the subtle design difference not found on the regular eGPU. It's a display port for those of you that want to enjoy 60Hz 5K content with certain monitors that require this kind of connection over HDMI. Externally, other than that, the differences end there and ends up looking nearly identical to the regular Blackmagic eGPU. Where the supposed $500 difference can be found is internally with all those beefy specs. As compared to the regular $700 eGPU by Blackmagic, the pricier $1,200 Pro version includes that Radeon RX Vega 56 graphics processor, while the regular one sports the Radeon Pro 580 graphics processor. Sadly, I don't have the regular one to review or compare, but hope I can snag one soon to compare and contrast, but I wanted to go for the best available one to squeeze out the best performance I can from it, mainly while connecting this to my new 2020 MacBook Air, and may occasionally use it on my 16-inch fully spec'd MacBook Pro. The eGPU Pro is mainly aimed at professionals, like the name suggests, who can justify the $1,200 price tag, because for the average consumer, you must think us tech dweebs are insane for dropping this much cash for something that seems so unnecessary to the average individual. But that's the thing. This eGPU Pro is designed for people who use their tech for their hobby, projects, or job. Creative professionals' needs were at the forefront after the few delays that caused this product to be released later than expected, but gamers can enjoy it too. Although, I would say there are hundreds of more cost-effective alternatives to upping your gaming frame rate and performance. It can still be done if you happen to be a creative professional and like to take gaming pretty seriously simultaneously. Where this eGPU will come clutch is with VR and those video editors under intense time constraints. The eGPU Pro provides stellar performance gains over the graphics cards found inside most Macs, particularly the 13-inch Pro and Air. So it'd be pretty dumb to review this eGPU and not include any testing, so fear not, as I have a variety of different applications to show you guys just exactly what kind of gains we're looking at here under the hood. Is it a 20% increase? Maybe 30? You'd be surprised to see the gains this eGPU Pro has to offer. First off, as my test subject, I use my base 13-inch MacBook Pro that includes Intel Iris Plus Graphics 645 and isn't exactly what I would call top tier. It's enough to get you by for most tasks, but for those requiring intensive graphics, 3D renders, heavy video editing with several layers, transitions, and effects, the eGPU Pro provides some promising results. I tested out the 13-inch MacBook Pro alone without connecting the eGPU first, and then connected the eGPU Pro, updated it with the most current software, and restarted the 13-inch. I pulled up Geekbench 5 and performed the metal test and OpenCL test and saw drastic improvements. You can see the true power inside the eGPU Pro should provide your MacBook with exceptional improvements all around to graphics performance. It's a great solution for those buying a base MacBook who may not need the graphical improvements now, but may require them later on in the future. For gamers wanting smoother and crisper gameplay, you can hook this up to your Mac and game much better, although again, you just be on bougie overload to game this way and may be more worthwhile to pick up a gaming PC and game that way, since gaming on a Mac is well known to be inferior to gaming on a PC. But hey, if you've got the money for it, go ahead. I benchmark using both the Unigine Heaven test and the Unigine Valley test. We'll start with the Heaven test and can see huge gains to the average frames per second. We go from averaging close to 30 frames per second without the eGPU on the base 13-inch Pro to nearing a much more respectable 100 frames per second. We have a similar story when running the Valley test, going from averaging 20 frames per second up to more than 90. Image output sees an insane improvement with better frame rates providing smoother gameplay. When performing these tests, you could audibly hear the eGPU cranking up those fans and producing a pretty noticeable hum in order to keep those internals cool while maxing this thing out. Luckily, this won't sound like a vacuum cleaner or like a plane taking off like other eGPUs, and so far is one of the quietest eGPUs I've ever seen. Or heard. Yeah. But what's unique, and actually a better word for it is unusual, is that this eGPU cranks up those fans and is too excited to get right to work, since the fans pick up as soon as you connect the power cord in. The regular Blackmagic eGPU and most others will only crank up when connecting the Thunderbolt 3 cable to a computer, but this one is a bit different, as can be seen with the light I put under the eGPU and plugging it in. Kind of weird, but at least this eGPU is great for office scenarios or for quieter environments. We go through more testing results and, as expected, keep seeing substantial gains. I cranked up the metal test and ran the Aztec Ruin, 1080p Car Chase, 1440p Manhattan, and the 1080p T-Rex off-screen tests to see what kind of improvements we saw. Again, seeing massive results with some tests nearing a 10-fold improvement. It's quite remarkable, and even while exporting a 3-minute 4K project, the eGPU Pro once again comes and saves the day, lowering the export time from almost 15 minutes down to a little over 3 minutes. Rendering is also way snappier, and drop frames is a thing of the past while doing light to moderate edits on my 3-minute project. Now, I don't use DaVinci Resolve as much, but with Blackmagic overseeing both both the DaVinci software and eGPU hardware, you'd expect even better gains and have read and seen other tech YouTubers come to conclude with all of the same. Huge improvements to their benchmark testing while exporting and using DaVinci Resolve. But this isn't just limited to MacBooks. You can connect this to iMacs, Mac Minis, and really any Mac operating with Mac OS 10.14.1 Mojave or better. It is, overall, in my opinion, really overpriced to recommend to the average consumer, and especially harder to recommend to gamers, specifically for the sole reason of gaming. It does provide blazing fast performance improvements, don't get me wrong, but I think the price is its biggest turnoff. Additionally, you're stuck with the RX Vega 56 for the entirety of its lifetime, as it is not user upgradable. So unless you're set on its unique use cases and know what you're getting yourself into, then sure, go ahead and pick it up. But graphics cards and tech in general moves fast, and I just fear in 2 to 3 years, the $1,200 you spent will be severely outdated. Kinda reminds me of the concept of buying a brand new car. You may purchase it at an MSRP of 45 grand, but 3 years from now will have reduced in value down to maybe 20 grand, or if you live in Georgia, 5 grand. It's somewhat similar here. Gamers have been known to be very meticulous with their systems, and I know many who thoroughly enjoy upgrading their setups pretty often, and you simply can't do it with this eGPU Pro. For $1,200, it's a hard sell, but that's precisely why a good 95% of you will never find any use from it. For those that do, I think it's a good investment if and only if you have the funds to comfortably cover this purchase. You may have a weaker system like a MacBook Air, in which case it makes this purchase even better, providing even better gains over the 13-inch shown here, especially if coming from older Airs with the 8th gen processors or older. But do keep in mind the flaws. The steep price tag doesn't feel justified when you have other options available. For example, a standalone RX Vega 56 card can cost you well under $500 on Amazon as of currently. Buy a cheap enclosure for it and you're still gonna save hundreds over this eGPU Pro. The audible hum is negligible and is one of the quietest ones I've ever tested, but I don't know. This is one of those reviews where it's not a go out and get it now, but it's not a 100% not recommend either. It's one of those products that can be justified for some and not for others. Just depends on your workload. In any case, if you'd like to see more videos using this eGPU Pro and further testing, make sure to leave a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think though, seriously. I'm a huge fan of eGPUs, but others may see no point in it. Is $1,200 just way too much to pay? Then there's the whole issue with portability and making carrying this thing around on the go a huge chore. Either way, I hope this video brought some insight into the world of eGPUs and tricking out your workstation in a unique fashion to squeeze out better performance. That's been it for me, guys. Make sure to like this video if you found it useful and subscribe for more great content. I can't wait to catch you all in my next video. Peace.